What do you mean you don't like these characters? I like them. I think they're cool. Therefore, everybody else must like them too. In this video, I'm going to talk about what makes characters appealing. When I talk about mass appeal in my previous videos, I get plenty of comments arguing with me about objective beauty and preference, which aren't the same thing as mass appeal. Salam, my name is Mustafa. I am the solo game developer of Sabr. I currently have one game that's launched on Steam and another one that's coming soon to Steam. Also, I have worked in the AAA game industry doing administrative work as well as QA work in the game development pipeline. Right now, my focus with Sabr is game design, the gameplay loops, puzzles, as well as narrative and visual design. But what do people mean when they say a character has mass appeal? Let's take a look at what other professionals say about appeal. First, we have Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnson. They are two of the original 9 pioneers of Disney animation. They're best known for their works such as Snow White, Bambi, Jungle Book, etc. The way how they define appeal is if a character has a pleasing design, the character has charisma, and broad likability. Another veteran animator, Don Bluth, he's known for The Secret of Nim, Land Before Time, Dragon's Lair, and many more works. His keys to an appealing character are if they have a likable appearance, distinct personality, and a unique visual hook. When we look at what these veterans of character design say about appeal, a character's appeal comes from whether they can draw in the audience. So when I define appeal, it's when a character captures the audience's attention and connects with the audience. Drawing the attention alone is not enough. The key is whether the character is compelling, not repelling. You can draw in attention, but in a negative way. And drawing in attention doesn't mean beauty or sexualization. It's about attention and connection. For example, Darth Vader is a character design that has lots of appeal, but he's not handsome or sexualized. There's always the people who will make the argument that what's appealing and attractive is subjective. It actually isn't. It's actually very objective. Visual designers, animators, marketers, they all study what's appealing for many years because what draws in attention has been tried and true. It's not an accident. Human eyes are attracted to certain postures, proportions, patterns, and colors. All these things are consistent, measurable, repeatable, and reproducible. Art is a science. If appeal was completely subjective, then no one would be studying what draws attention in. It wouldn't be repeatable or reproducible. And we wouldn't have rules such as symmetry, balance, and color theory. Objective beauty is not the same thing as appeal, but it does exist. It is a form of appeal. It exists in nature and humans. For example, a sunset going over a body of water. This is universally seen as something beautiful because of the colors. The symmetry of a snowflake and flowers, these are universally seen as signs of beauty in nature. Some of the factors that lead to objective beauty in nature are symmetry, color harmony, balance, proportions, simplicity, clarity and shape, and rhythm. Objective beauty also exists in humans as well. When it comes to humans, we're attracted to survival, health, and reproduction. A study published in the International Journal of Exercise Science on body image as a motivator and barrier to exercise participation found that 58.3% of participants reported that the amount they exercise was influenced by their perceived body image. So over half of the people who exercised were motivated by looking better. This is why fitness is seen as beautiful in both men and women, because a fit and healthy human looks more beautiful than that same person who is out of shape and obese. That doesn't mean the person who's obese is completely hideous. But if they lost weight and got to a healthy size, they're going to certainly be seen as more attractive. Traits that are seen as beautiful for women are youth, clear skin, facial symmetry, a healthy waist to hip ratio, which indicates that they are not overweight and they're ready to bear children, and curves usually indicate hormonal health. Traits that are seen as attractive in men include their strength and capability, a square jaw or defined cheekbones, broad shoulders and narrow hips usually indicates that the man is not overweight and has muscle mass. And women find these traits attractive because strength indicates that the man can protect them. This is within the nature of human beings. These traits are biologically consistent, and there's cross-cultural consistency with these traits. If there's no such thing as objective beauty, then attracting other people would not be a motivator when it comes to fitness. There are other factors aside from fitness that lead to appeal, such as dressing well, grooming, etc. The fashion influencer marketing market is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It was valued at an estimated $24 billion in 2024 and is projected to grow to over $39 billion by 2030, showing the huge investment brands are making in this area. If dressing well, grooming, and staying fit did not improve people's appeal, then people would not be spending so much money to make themselves look better through these methods. If this was all completely subjective, then no one would know what makes somebody look good. When it comes to facial beauty, studies show that the average face has more mass appeal than a face that has certain extremes. There have been studies in which they would take multiple faces, blend them into one face, and that new fake face is seen as more attractive than the real faces. One of the major theories to explain this is that the average face is easier for us to process. When we see a face that's more average looking, then our eyes can process the visuals and recognize what we see in a quicker fashion than if they had something extreme, such as very large eyes. I'm not saying that person is ugly, I'm saying that that person has less mass appeal. Which brings me to the next topic of preference. Preference does not mean that the other choices are bad. When it comes to appeal, appeal is objective, but preference is what's subjective. You can have a lineup of multiple characters and they all look good in their own sense. And just because I like one more than the other doesn't mean the others are bad. Having a preference is okay, but your preference is not always going to fall under the mass appeal. When you really like a visual and then you have a large group saying that this is unappealing, it's okay for you to like that visual, but your preference for that does not fall under the mass appeal. The whole point of mass appeal is that it appeals to as many people as possible. It's okay to have a preference that doesn't fall under the mass appeal. That doesn't mean you're wrong if you like Atsu from Ghost of Yotei or Jordan from Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. But if you do like these designs that are conventionally seen as unpopular or unappealing, that doesn't mean that they're wrong for seeing this as unconventional. What's unconventional does not land in the mass appeal, which brings me to niche appeal. Niche appeal means it's a strong appeal towards a specific group. If averages are what's seen as the mass appeal, and what falls outside of the average can be seen as a niche appeal. For example, a morbidly obese character such as Ellie from Borderlands 2 can have niche appeal. Or muscular characters like Zarya and the Junk Queen can be seen as niche appeal. In general, what's outside the norm is usually a niche appeal, such as bodybuilding. Not everybody is attracted to bodybuilding. Some people will find it as motivational, an aesthetic that pushes the human limits, but others will see it as something unhealthy, something that requires performance enhancers to get to, something that shows a sign of obsession. So bodybuilders aren't going to appeal to everybody. And that's what a niche appeal means. It's not meant to please everyone. So not all niches are the same. They don't have the same size audiences. So when it comes to marketing, certain niches will draw in a larger audience than other niches. And generally, niches aren't going to work for AAA games. I keep mentioning on this channel that the size of these AAA studios have diminishing returns. The larger they're getting, the lower the returns are becoming, especially with how expensive the budgets are getting. The more expensive these budgets are, the larger the audience they need to shoot for. And when they need to have such a large audience, they need to have mass appeal. Niche appeal will work for indie games and AA games. And this is another form of diminishing return for AAA industry, that the games are costing so much and they need to have such a large return on investment that it's going to be nearly impossible for them to make up that return on investment when they're also trying to go for a mass market appeal. It leads to diminishing creative returns. Let me know of some examples in the comments below of some characters that you know of that have mass appeal. And what are some examples of characters that have niche appeal? Do you think AAA studios need to have characters with mass appeal, or should they start going for niche appeal? Or is that the wrong question altogether? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching this far. Please leave a like and subscribe. Take care, Saddam.